guys, it's Sandy with Sandy Cogdill Designs, and today I have a Christmas card. I'm doing Christmas in July. I am using Cat Scrappiness Products. So I've got this really fun window shaker card. I haven't decided on a sentiment for the inside yet, but everything else is all done on this card. So I'm using Cat Scrappiness. I'm using the Pink Christmas Sprinkle Mix. I am also using the Nutcracker Stamp Set, which is just adorable. It's got the two ballerinas, Claire, the Nutcracker, the Rat King. So I'm using that stamp set along with these dies. And then for the base of my card, I am using its Cat's Essentials Card Builder die number 3. I love this set. It is just very, very versatile. So you'll be seeing that a lot in some of my future cards. Okay, let's get started on this card. Hi guys, it's Sandy with Cat Scrappiness, and we are doing Christmas in July today. So I have this adorable and really pretty Christmas card that I've created. It's a shaker card. It's kind of fun. I haven't quite decided what I want for the sentiment, but the front is done. So we're going to be using the Cat Scrappiness Pink Christmas Sprinkle Mix, and I actually took some of the sprinkles out of here. I didn't want the little pink gingerbread houses, but I used everything else in the mix. I am using the Cat's Essential Card Builder die. This one's number 3. It's perfect for all kinds of different things, but it really made a fun shaker card for me. We are using the Nutcracker Stamp Set along with the Nutcracker dies. Okay, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do in this project is we are going to start by coloring all the little friends that are going to go in our windows. So I have got them stamped out. I used Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I am just going to start on the skin areas of Clara and my little ballerina. And then there's just a little bit of skin area down on the Nutcracker. So I am starting with, and these are all Copic markers, E000. I'll move into E00 and then E11. And those two colors, the 00 and the 11, I don't have a lot of those colors on this piece. When I do my Copic coloring, I personally like to lay in my lightest color over the whole area. And then I go back in and just add the contours and the shading with the other 2 or 3 colors. Depends on how many I'm using. So again, we're using E00 or E triple, E double, E11. And I think that'll be just fine. They're small areas. I'm going to be coloring in the hair on my little Sugar Plum Fairy with let's see, E30 is my lightest color. Then I will move into E31 and E33. Again, super simple coloring, not a lot of colors on there. There's not a lot of area to work with, so you don't have to worry too much about shading or textures or anything else. I also decided at that time when I was working on her hair that I'd go ahead and do the little mouse, the same colors, and touch up some of the areas on that small little Nutcracker. I don't want to get too many different browns or too many different colors going on this card. I just want everything to kind of flow together nicely. Next, we're going to be working on the Sugar Plum Fairy's little outfit. And I guess in retrospect, since she is the Sugar Plum Fairy, or at least I think she is, her outfit should have been purple, but well, we're going to go with blue. So I am starting off with B000, so B triple, and then B00, B double, and B01. And again, I'm laying in my lightest color, going back in with my darker colors, and just adding a little bit of highlights. And then for her little tights, I am using RV10 and RV00. And just doing a little bit of highlighting. Again, it's a super teeny area to be working with. To color in the little fairy wings, I'm going to be using V000, or V triple, V01, and V12. And again, I am not using a lot of those, the mid and the darkest color. Those are just being flicked on kind of out from her body, just to give it those wings a little bit of depth and dimension. For Clara's dress, I'm going to be using RV63. That's going to be my lightest color. Then I'm going to go into RV55 and RV66. Again, those darker colors are just adding in folds on that dress and a little bit of dimension underneath where her arms are, kind of where that little nutcracker is. Not a lot of extra color, just enough to give it a nice textured look. To finish up her dress, I will also be using the blue combination for that little petticoat underneath where the dress is and her little belt. I also used the RV combination over on the Sugar Plum Fairy for her little sash with the flowers. And then I added some of that color also into the little embellishments on her crown. I've used that same RV combination to do the bow in her hair also. And then I used that darkest color just to put some color in her little shoes. Talk about little areas. Those were very little areas. For her hair, I decided I wanted her to be kind of a blondish color. So we are using B00. I'm sorry, Y00, Y11, and Y13. I've used the same colors and color combinations to finish up coloring for this project. So the two little presents and the Nutcracker have all been colored with those same colors. Next, I'm going to be using the die set that coordinates with this Nutcracker Stamp Set, and we'll get all of these little friends cut out. Oh my goodness, aren't they just lovely? All right, now that they're cut out and colored, we're going to set those to the side and we'll start creating the background for our shaker card. To create my shaker card, I am using Cat's Essential Card Builder Die number 3. And this is the pink is going to be the very top of my shaker card, but I wanted those pieces that it cuts out to be the inside of my shaker wells. So I am going to start decorating those. I wanted to give those little background pieces just a little bit of color, not too much so that would distract from my little images. But I decided the best thing to use would be the snowflake that's in that stamp set. So I'm going to use some anti-static powder, kind of dust up those pieces, take my snowflake along with some Versamark watermark ink. I'm going to stamp my snowflake in those areas and then use a silver embossing powder to heat emboss those snowflakes on. All right, let's start building our shaker card. This is my preferred method of making a shaker card. I just feel like it's so clean and simple. You don't have a lot of cutting of the foam tape and that stickiness. So what I'll do is I am going to use that same die set, the Cat's Essential Card Builders Die number 3. I am going to cut out 7 of those from 110-pound cardstock. And then I am going to glue one of them on another piece of cardstock that is cut at the A2 size, which is 5.5 by 4.25. And I'm going to glue one of those for now on that background piece of cardstock, making sure that my edges are nice and straight and all lined up with the outside edges of that bottom piece. Here I'm just filling in those squares and rectangle pieces with the pink paper that I've heat embossed with the silver embossing powder. Just going to use some liquid glue to lay those in there. Where they don't fit, I'll kind of use a tool, just kind of tuck them in those sides. But that is going to be the background of my shaker card. I'm going to put some weights on that background just in case it decides to curl since I'm using liquid glue. Now I'm going to be taking the other pieces of that frame and gluing them together. And I think I'm just going to start with 3 each, get those glued together, and then I set them aside, put my little weights on it. Again, I'm using liquid glue, and sometimes that wants to curl my paper, and I don't particularly want that, but I can usually press it out with my magnetic weights there. While my little frame pieces are drying, I'm going to go ahead and get my little images inserted in the little rectangles and squares. Now, I am using liquid glue. I wouldn't suggest using any of the tape adhesives just because that just adds another element for your shaker pieces to stick to. I'm just a liquid glue girl pretty much anyway. I try to stay away from the adhesive tapes just because they don't do well in my climate. I don't think I have problems with them sticking long term. Right, back to the card. So anyway, we're going to glue in all of those little pieces in those openings. And at this point, you could just stop right here and put your little pink frame on it and it would still be a really lovely Christmas card. But I'm kind of a more is more girl, so we are going to step it up and finish this out as a shaker card. All right, let's finish up making those little shaker wells. I'm going to take those 2 pieces that I had glued, the 3 layers, and I'm going to add them to the background of my card. And this, again, creates such a nice and clean well area for your little shaker bits. Like I said, I hardly ever use the foam tape for shaker cards. I struggle with it, and I always feel like it's just not a nice clean finish on the edges. I have a lot of wet glue on this card at this point, so I am definitely going to weight that down on my glass surface with my magnets. I'm going to be using the sprinkle mix called Pink Christmas Sprinkle Mix by Cat Scrappiness, and I am going to be ridiculously picky, and I'm only going to use the pieces in that mix that aren't the little pink gingerbread houses. I just felt like the gingerbread houses would really detract from the softness and the prettiness of this particular card. So I'm going to hand select my little shaker pieces and put them in the wells. Now in this mix, there's some like little half pearl pieces, and I also wanted to make sure that those were up, that they weren't upside down in those wells, because the real pretty side is with it facing up. So I'm going to get all of those little shaker pieces put in there, and then I'm going to seal it up with a piece of acetate that's cut to the A2 size, which is 5.5 by 4.25, and I might trim that down just a little bit more because I don't need it to go all the way to the edges. I just need it to seal up those windows. Now that I have this all sealed up, there's really only one thing left to do for the front of this card. Is I'm going to take that pink frame that I cut out with that die set, and I'm going to glue it to the acetate on the front of this card. And that pretty much does it for the front of this card. Now, I didn't put a sentiment on the front of this card just because there really isn't a spot to put it where it wouldn't just totally detract from what's going on the inside and the whole shaker business. So I will leave the inside of my card for the sentiment for this particular card. I don't know about you, but I think this card turned out absolutely lovely. I like it. It doesn't have the traditional Christmas colors. It would be really, really fun to give to a little girl for Christmas. The whole shaker element, I'm sure, would excite her. All right, all of these items are available in the store at Cat Scrappiness, so you might want to jump on over to their shop and check things out. They have a whole bunch of other things too that will definitely spark that creative juice. I have linked all of the products that I've used down below. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you want to be notified of future videos. Please give us a thumbs up. And I think that's going to do it until next time. So again, thank you for spending a little bit of your time with me today, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.